Hey everyone, welcome back to MNMM PTE and NAATI YouTube channel. Now in today's video, I'm continuing the series for all the 20 topics that we have for the PTE exam. And today we are going to cover one of the most important topic of the PTE exam, and that is retell a lecture. Now that's the fourth topic of your exam, starting with read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image and retell lecture. Now even though it comes in your speaking task, it is still going to give you marks in the listening section, and the reason is because this is how the task runs in the exam. As the name says, retell lecture, you listen to an audio and then your job is to speak out your answer afterwards. Now let's jump straight into the topic and understand in the various parts, starting with the overview of the topic, as in how many questions do you get, how important is this topic, how many marks do you get in listening and speaking for this task. Second part would be how do we take notes in the real exam, and how does the scoring works for a retell lecture from the Pearson's point of view. Third would be how do we speak out the retell lecture using the template that I would be giving you soon. And then last but not the least would be things to avoid and things to take care during the real exam. So without wasting any further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now the first thing is, let's start with the name of the topic. As the name says, retell lecture. Let's divide the name into a few different parts. Retell lecture. So re means again, tell means speak, and lecture means obviously the audio that you're going to listen. So as the name says of the task, your job is to listen to the audio and then re-speak your answer, as in speak the same thing again. So they haven't said anything about paraphrasing or summarizing at all. They just want you to re-speak whatever you just heard. So that's a keyword that I would be emphasizing in between this video as well. So understand one thing, we are not going to summarize anything. Also, we are not going to paraphrase anything. For this particular task in the exam, you can expect either 3 questions or 4. So whichever day you decide to go and give your exam, you will either end up getting 3 or 4 questions. You never get 2, you never get 5. That's a set framework that is being designed by the Pearson computer. Now understand how the sequence of this question and topic will go. You will have the first preparation time. That means time which is given to you by the computer to prepare. And that's the first preparation time. Now, before the audio starts to play, they will give you some time to prepare, or I can say they will give you some time to be ready. And that time is going to be 3 seconds. So my point is, the moment that computer screen comes in front of you, they will not ask you to speak your answer straight away. They give you 3 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and then they start playing the audio. So in that time, you can just be mentally prepared that after 3 seconds, an audio is about to be played. Once that preparation time is over, that is when the audio starts to play, and that audio is going to be anywhere between 30 to 90 seconds. So again, there is no set framework by the Pearson here that they will start with 30 seconds audio and then ultimately end with 90 seconds. They can even give you first question worth 80 seconds, and then second question, they might give you 45 seconds worth of audio. So they just give you these questions on a random basis. So we have to be ready with whatever length of the audio that will come in the exam. Now, obviously, since you're listening to the audio and that audio is anywhere between 30 to 90 seconds, there is no way that you can keep all the information in your mind. So let's say during this audio time, what we are doing is we are taking notes. That's very important. Without note taking, this task will not happen. Once that audio is over, again, you don't have to speak your answer yet. They will give you a second preparation time for that. And this time it is going to be 7 seconds. So again, first preparation time for 3 seconds, 3, 2, 1. Then an audio is being played for 30 to 90 seconds. Once that audio is finished, then they will be giving you another preparation time for 7 seconds. Once these 7 seconds are over, that is when the recording timer will start. And here they will be giving you 40 seconds. So a timer will run on the screen, a recording will run on the screen for next 40 seconds, and you have to speak your answer during that time. Now, 40 seconds is a complete timer that is given by Pearson. Now, it doesn't really mean that you have to finish to the brim. You do not have to stretch your answer for up to 40 seconds. Now, listen carefully. Anything more than 20 seconds. So anything above 20 seconds, if you finish your answer, you have a good chance of getting a perfect 90 out of 90 even. Obviously following the correct note-taking method that I'll be displaying and discussing with you very soon. But the point is we have to make sure that we speak more than 50% of the time. Only then computer will be able to give us a full score. Now, how important is this particular topic? As I said at the beginning of the video, you would be getting marks in speaking and listening section both. If you end up doing this task perfectly, you're aiming for 15 to 20 marks out of 90 in speaking, which is exactly equal in your listening section as well. So you get 15 to 20 marks in speaking out of 90, and same happens in listening, 15 to 20 marks out of 90 in the listening part. So according to me, it's extremely important topic. Anyone out there who is aiming for 65, 50 or 79 or even a perfect 90, this topic is one of the topic which will act as a decider. So we really need to get this well. Next thing is, how does the scoring happen for this particular component? Now scoring can be divided into 3 different parts in the real exam, starting with your fluency. Then we have pronunciation, and final we have is content. So one Retell lecture is divided into 3 different components, and this is how a computer would be checking out your answer. Each component is worth 5 points. It's a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, then 1, 2, 3 and 4 in between. Now, in order to understand fluency and pronunciation in a lot more detail, I'll pin that read aloud video up on the top right corner and also put the link in the description for the read aloud topic. Do watch out that video of mine and understand in a lot detail that what do we understand by fluency and pronunciation. For now, just keep one thing in mind. Fluency refers to your smoothness of the speech. So whatever you're speaking or uttering in front of a computer, our voice, our speech has to be smooth. Nothing related to speed or anything at all. These are all the misconceptions out there that the quicker you speak, the more marks you get. Nothing like that happens at all. It's all related to smoothness of your speech. Right now, as you could see that how slow am I speaking? But that doesn't mean that I would be losing marks for that in the exam. You don't have to increase your speed deliberately for no reason to get more marks in the real exam. You just speak at your natural speed, but making sure that whatever you're speaking, your speech is very smooth. Avoid using fillers. What are fillers? Sorry, these kind of words. Anything that you naturally tend to speak out between your answer, avoid speaking out those words. Computer will deduct marks for that in the fluency component. Pronunciation means how do you pronounce a word, and for this one, it depends on your loudness and clearness. Now, loud again doesn't mean you have to scream at the top of your voice. Loud simply means you have to be naturally loud, that amount of loud enough that a computer can understand whatever you're speaking. So we are not just speaking very softly, and again, we are not screaming at the top of our voice. A natural blend in between, a balance in between is something that we are aiming for. Again, watch my read aloud video in a lot more detail. That's where you'll get to know that what does this pronunciation mean in a lot more detail. Last but not the least is content. Now, content here plays a crucial role in deciding how many marks you get in your listening part. So what I mean to say is your fluency and pronunciation marks are going towards your speaking section, and your content marks are going towards your listening section. So this is one thing that you might have seen in maybe your exam if you have given the exam before, or maybe any of your friends, that they get a perfect 90 or a great score in speaking section extremely easily, but they struggle to get their desired scores in the listening part. Now, this is one thing you need to pay attention and understand, that speaking and listening, even though the marking distribution is equal, that doesn't mean that you would be getting equal marks in both of them. You can still get a perfect 90 in speaking, but end up getting 0 in listening. So content plays a major role. If you're speaking what is being given in the audio, you will have a great chance of getting a perfect score. And if you just end up speaking anything random, which is not part of the audio, that's when computer will start deducting marks in the listening part. So this was a bit about the scoring component of Retell Lecture. This is how a computer would be checking your Retell Lecture in the real exam. Now let's understand the main focus of this topic, and that is note taking. How do we take notes in the exam? That's very important. Now, first of all, there are 3 ways of taking notes. First is keywords. Second is phrases. And then third is sentences. So keywords, phrases, and sentences. Most of you would be knowing the definitions of these 3 things that I've written. If not, let's understand what these things are. Keywords refer to keywords. It means important words. Any important words in a lecture are going to be the keywords. If I give you an example, let's say Adelaide is a beautiful city. In this sentence, the words such as Adelaide, beautiful city, these are going to be keywords. Phrase refers to group of words. I would highly recommend, if you're watching this video for the very first time, to have a notebook and a pen or a pencil handy with you so that you can keep taking notes out of it. Because trust me, after watching it once or twice, you will tend to forget these basic things. So keep writing them down, keep making the notes out of it, so that once you reflect back to the same topic, you don't have to watch the same thing, the basic thing again and again. You get to know that how important is this since you have written the notes out of it. Phrases, as I said, it's a group of words. Now I can say a beautiful city, that's a phrase. Is a beautiful city, that's a phrase. Since it's a group of words and it's not a complete sentence, it is going to be a phrase. Then in the Pearson exam, we can also say Adelaide is a. So Adelaide is a. It's not a complete sentence. It's a group of words which are coming together. It is going to be a phrase again. Then Adelaide is a beautiful. Adelaide is a beautiful. 4 words. It's not a complete sentence. These words are coming together. It is going to be a phrase. And then obviously last but not the least, as the name says, sentences. Sentence means a complete sentence having subject, verb, and object, everything. So basically these are 3 different ways of taking notes. Now, if you look carefully, out of the given 3, definitely keywords is going to be the easiest way of taking notes, because it's only single words that we are grabbing out of the sentence. But the problem here is keywords do not work in the exam. I'll repeat myself with a proper confidence. Keywords do not work in the exam. Again, there's a lot of misconceptions out there that take those little keywords out of a sentence, speak them out, and you can get a full score. I'll leave the decision up to you. Just think about this for a second. If it was that easy to just grab single words out of a sentence and a paragraph and then speak them out and get a perfect 90, don't you think everyone would have got a perfect 90 out of 90 by now? The reason people are struggling out there is because of all these misleading kind of bits and pieces of information which is available out there, which people unfortunately tend to follow and then end up losing marks out of it. So if you go to Pearson's official website and look out their official score guide that has been given, you will understand and realize one thing, that they have specifically mentioned one thing, that if you take keywords, you on a scale of 1 to 5, there is no way on this earth you can exceed more than 3. You either end up getting 1 or maximum you end up getting 2, no more than that. So if anyone out there is aiming for 65 or 79, forget about keywords. They are not going to help you in the long run. Left is phrases and sentences. Now here I can give you a choice, but if you take my words here, I would prefer any day going with the phrases, because either taking phrases or sentences, you can still get a perfect 90 out of 90 in the exam. And as I said, I'm not talking about 65 or 79, a perfect 90. So since out of phrases and sentences, we know the phrases are a bit easier, we'll prefer taking phrases. Not sentences, they are brilliant, they are perfect, but then they are extremely difficult to grab in the exam pressure and also depending on the length of the audio. Prefer going with phrases. Once we have decided that we are going to take phrases, let's see how many phrases are we talking about. Now, my recommendation would be take minimum 3 words in a phrase and then take in total of at least, that's the keyword, at least 10 phrases. So minimum 3 words in one phrase, not 2, not 4, prefer taking 3. Making sure that we are having at least 10 phrases for that. At least doesn't mean that's it. At least means minimum 10. And if you are able to get more than that, the more the merrier, the more the better, obviously. So minimum 3 words in a phrase. The moment in the exam you're sitting and you're waiting for the Retell lecture audio to be played, the first thing that you guys need to do is, on your notebook in the exam, you would be issued a notebook, a laminated kind of notebook with 2 markers in the exam for you guys to take notes. Before that audio starts to play, for the first 3 seconds of preparation time, do one thing, the way I'm doing right now. Just make this plus sign in the exam, like this. So what I'm trying to say here is, whatever page you would be having, just divide that complete page into 4 different parts, or you can say 4 different quadrants. So now we know that this is how many phrases that I need in the exam. This is how many sentences I'm going to speak in the exam. Now, some people and students, what they do is they take the notes like this in a list. Now, nothing wrong in that, to be honest. Pearson is not going to check your notes, check your rough notes after the exam and give more marks to person whose notes are a lot more organized. Nothing like that happens. But then if you're writing all the notes in a list, then it just becomes difficult for you to recite them back. So prefer keeping your notes organized so that when it comes to speaking out your answer, it becomes easier for you to see that, okay, this is how many phrases I need to speak in each of my sentence. Since we have 4 quadrants, that means we are going to speak 4 sentences in the exam. In the first quadrant, I will only and only speak one phrase, or you can say a topic phrase. Topic phrase simply refers to the first sentence of the audio. So prefer taking couple of words from the very first sentence, because that is what defines the audio. In most of the cases, you will see that in the first sentence, computer will speak out the main topic or the title of the audio. So this is what we are aiming for in the first sentence. After that, in second, third and fourth sentences, prefer having minimum of 3 phrases in each. So now if you count up the number, so 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and including the first one, in total 10 phrases. As I said, that's the minimum number we are taking. After 10, if you feel that the audio is still there, prefer taking more in that. But minimum 10 phrases should be there, not for 65, again, not for 79, for a perfect 90. Now what I'll do is I'll play one audio here. I just want you to pay attention to the audio and just see on the screen the way I'm taking notes. Once I'm finished taking the notes, I'll explain you what I did, why I did, how I did that, and why you guys need to follow the very same steps. So I'm going to play the audio now.
In today's lecture, I'm going to talk about changes in air pollution since the middle of the last century and what has created these changes. So, by the 1950s, air pollution was very visible, with frequent thick black fogs known as smogs in many large cities around the world. The main source of this pollution was from factories, and it caused severe health problems. For example, Particularly severe smog in London in 1952 caused over 4,000 deaths. Obviously, something had to be done, and in 1956 a Clean Air Act was introduced in Britain. This addressed the pollution from factories, and the smog soon disappeared. However, as you know, these days air pollution is still a big issue. The main difference between now and the 1950s is that you can't see it, it's invisible. Also, the main source of pollution now is from cars and lorries, and although these don't produce visible signs, this air pollution is still a significant risk to health. And one of the key factors in the rise of this type of pollution is that we have all become much more vehicle dependent.
So this is how I've taken notes. Now understand why I did that, what have I done, how did I do it, and why you guys need to follow the same stuff. The moment that audio started to play, I did not even waste a single second of thinking, analyzing, and using my brain for some other stuff. I started writing instantly and spontaneously. The moment they spoke the first few words, changes in air pollution, I took those words out of the audio. I started writing them down without thinking that what is going on in the audio still. I'll tell you the main reason students struggle in Retell Lecture is that they're listening and they're writing two different things at the same time. Brain doesn't work like that. Our brain cannot multitask. Once you listen something out of the audio, your entire focus and concentration has to be on writing down that phrase, not listening to what's happening or what are you leaving in the audio. Nothing like that is going to help you. Once I finished writing down the last word, which was pollution, after that I was again all ears. I started paying attention to the audio, what was going on in that, and I heard the phrase created these changes. Think about this for a second. Created these changes was somewhere out of the audio. I did miss few words before that phrase. I definitely missed a lot of words after that phrase. But does that matter in Retell Lecture? Absolutely not. Computer is not fussy and picky about having the complete sentence or your phrases making any sense. In this topic, specifically in Retell Lecture, even if your phrases do not make any sense, it does not really matter. As long as the phrases that you're speaking in your answer, they are exactly the same words which were spoken in the audio, you will end up getting a perfect score, which is a 90 out of 90. So do not worry about your phrases making any sense at all. Next phrase that I've written is by the 1950s. Now again, that was somewhere from the audio, but then I'm not sure where that was spoken. And obviously these two phrases, created these changes by the 1950s, they don't make any sense at all together. In the real exam, again, that doesn't really matter. One more funny thing, that I'm not even going to combine these two phrases using any sort of connectors or anything. When I speak out my answer, I'm just going to speak out these two phrases together without adding any connectors in them. Forget two phrases, all the four phrases that I've written, I'll speak them in one sentence. No connectors. It will be grammatically wrong, but then again, it doesn't really matter in the exam. How do I say this so confidently? As I said in the previous video as well, by giving exam multiple times. Until now, me and Mohit have personally given more than 20 exams till date, and we are still giving it every month or at least 2-month basis. And these things work. These things will end up getting a perfect 90 out of 90 in the exam. So what have I done in this audio? As you can see, I have taken more than 10 phrases, because as I said before the audio, that the more the better. Once I was finished with my 10 phrases, it doesn't mean that I will stop writing. I'll keep on writing as many as I can. So I ended up writing more than 10 phrases. Now, final thing is, I need to speak out all these phrases that I've written in my template that I'm going to give it to you now. So what I'll do is I'll speak out the template now, but I'll put the link of the template in the description. So you guys are free to download that. Remember that, memorize that. The best part about that template is it has just been updated about couple of months ago. So that means we have tested that template multiple times in the exam. It works like a charm. It gives you a perfect 90 out of 90. It satisfies whatever computer is looking for in this particular topic. So feel free to use that for free, memorize it, and then start practicing this topic using that template. So just for now, since I've got the template right now in front of me, so that's the template that I'll be giving it to you as a link in the description. You can download that off. So right now, as you could see, I've got 4 sentences with me. First is the lecture is talking about my first phrase. Second is it also denotes 3 phrases. Now I've written it in a way that 3 phrases means at least 3 phrases. If you end up speaking 4, nothing wrong in that, the more the better. Third is in addition to that, another 3 phrases. And then last and most important is to conclude this lecture. Computer is looking out for these sort of keywords in the exam. If you end up speaking these keywords, computer knows that you're on the right track and right path. They end up giving you a perfect score provided your content is great. They want to listen to the word conclude or conclusion. The reason is if you do not speak out the word conclude or conclusion, computer will assume that you haven't completed your answer and they will end up just deducting marks from your answer for no reason. So prefer using the same template. Prefer not manipulating or compromising the words here and there. Keep the same template, keep the same keywords in there. Now what I'll do is I'll speak out the answer. I'll speak out my phrases using the template that I've given you. First sentence is the lecture is talking about changes in air pollution. So this is what I do in the exam. Since I've already memorized my template and I've got my notes and my phrases written in front of me, now final step is when the recording starts, I just need to combine them in my mind and then speak it out in a confident and fluent way. The lecture is talking about changes in air pollution. Second sentence, it also denotes by the 1950s known as smoke's significant risk to health. That's it. It also denotes created these changes by the 1950s known as smoke's significant risk to health. So as I said, I'm not combining my phrases. I'm not adding any sort of connectors in them. I'm not trying to make any sense out of it. I just speak out my phrases the way I've written them. Third sentence, in addition to that, the main source, severe health problems caused over 4,000 deaths. That's it. Third sentence. Last but not the least, to conclude this lecture, and in 1956, this addressed the these days air pollution, you can't see it. Now think about it. Did I make any sort of sense? Absolutely not. I was just speaking random things. It's not even grammatically correct. But the funny part is just in this topic, this works. So if something works in a simple way, prefer keeping it simple. Do not make a simple topic unnecessarily complex. I'll speak out all the 4 sentences in a sequence without any pauses in between so that you guys know and understand, okay, this is how we speak out in the exam. Starting now. The lecture is talking about changes in air pollution. It also denotes created these changes by the 1950s known as smoke's significant risks to health. In addition to that, the main source, severe health problems caused over 4,000 deaths. To conclude this lecture, and in 1956, this addressed the these days air pollution, you can't see it. And once you finish speaking out your answer, on your computer screen, you will have the next button written on the bottom right corner. You click on that next button and you move towards the next question. Job done for the first question. So this is how easy this task. Now I'm not just putting this into saying that, okay, this task is extremely easy, nothing like that. It will eventually become easy for you provided if you follow the footsteps that I've given you right now. If you try to complicate the topic for no reason, you just end up messing up the topic. Again, avoid doing that. If a topic is simple, keep it simple. Watch this video, reverse the part where I spoke out the template and my phrases, listen to it multiple times and understand what have I done, why have I done it, how did I do it, all these things have been explained. Listen to this video, listen to this audio again and again and understand what have I done. Last but not the least thing is, how do we practice for this topic? The easiest way to practice is you have millions of resources out there. There's many videos and audios on YouTube. There's many websites out there which give you the material for every single topic in the exam. Pick any website, doesn't matter which website it is. Play some audios, try taking notes, memorize the template, and then try speaking it out. Do not be hard on yourself. Do not go with all the 4 sentences in one day. Just speak 1 sentence in one day, second sentence in second day, third in third, fourth in fourth. After 4 days, on the fifth day, speak out all the 4 sentences in one breath. This topic will take you a bit of time to get the hang of it, but that's the beauty of the method that I've explained. Once you go past these initial stages, after that, this is just a piece of cake. You just practice and you improve. But provided you follow these basics well. Now, last thing is things to avoid in the exam for this topic specifically. Now, since those are markers and you would be given some sort of laminated pages, so if you leave the cap open of the marker for more than 10-15 seconds, the markers do not work. They stop working. So prefer one thing, that before the audio starts to play, do not remove the cap of your marker, leave it on. Once the audio starts to play, that is when you instantly remove the cap, and that's when you start taking the notes. Once you are done taking the notes, you instantly pop up the cap again so that you still have the ink and marker working perfectly for the upcoming questions. Just think about it. If you end up messing this up in the exam, if the markers stop working, your exam is not going to pause or stop. You can't do it. You can't pause the exam. What will happen is you will panic, you will be stressed, you will call the invigilator, they'll come inside, they might reissue you the new markers, but then that would be too late. Maybe your 1 or 2 questions have already been gone. So never fall in those kind of silly things. Make sure these basics are met. Make sure that the caps are on, only open when the audio starts. Another thing to avoid in the exam is correcting yourself. Now, I'm not saying you will not make mistakes in the exam. That's very normal for a human being. Mistakes do happen. But then, since it's a computer-based exam, there is no going back. Do not manipulate your exam. Do not damage your exam even further. If you end up making a mistake, just ignore the mistake and move on. The damage has already been done. You can't correct yourself. You can't say, sorry, apologies for that, I beg your pardon. Nothing like that works. Just move on. And that applies to not just this topic, for any topic in the exam. So that's it from me for today. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was a bit of a valuable information for you, especially for newbies out there who are learning the nitty-gritty things of this PTE exam for the very first time. I hope you find this information useful. If you did find this useful, do hit the like button. And also, if you have some of your friends who are struggling in this PTE exam, do share it with your friends. Do them a favor. Do help them in their PTE journey. Do help yourself in this PTE journey. Me and Mohit have this goal and aim to help every single soul out there who is struggling to get their desired scores in the PTE exam. So utilize these free resources that we are providing you as much as possible. Do get your desired scores. Let's get this PTE exam done together. You guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.